Hello, and welcome to Confidently Wrong, a show by regular dudes talking with confidence about content we have no right to speak about with any kind of authority, but do it anyway. I'm Wesley Nakamura, and as always, I'm joined by award-winning director Brian Redondo and Savon Jones, aka Captain Vonnie. This is episode 76, and we're taking our swing at the first few episodes of Harley Quinn Season 3. I'm confident that it's going to be the best show you've ever listened to, and well, hey, if it's not, you can always ask us for a refund. See what I did there? Take our swing. You get it, you get it.
Incredible!
Hello, gentlemen. Exciting to see you.
Top of the morning to you, sir.
Hey, what's
Been
up?
a minute. I'm pretty jazzed, jazz hands here. We're going to talk about one of my favorite shows on streaming. We're going to talk about Harley Quinn, the animated series. Last time we left off was probably, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And we were, well, it couldn't have been 2 years ago, maybe like a year and a half ago. And we were just all about it. I could not think of a show, especially an animated show, but just a show I had enjoyed more binging through season 1 and season 2 of Harley Quinn. They made us wait quite a while to come back for season 3. So we're going to talk about the beginning of season 3, episodes 1 through 4. I'll be honest, I didn't watch episode 4 yet, but we watched the first 3 episodes for sure. And just kind of talk about what we're thinking, what we're liking so far, what we're hoping for, and we'll go from there. So there are some spoilers. We'll try not to be too spoilery because it's the beginning. So people might not have caught up yet. So right off the bats, we get a ton of carnage, a ton of action, as is to be expected in this show.
I see what you did there, Wes, right off the bat. Okay,
right
okay.
off the bat.
This guy.
So how did the first few episodes land with you? Savon, what did you think?
Yeah, so first, right off the bat, you can see that this show has a bigger production.
I think I know
budget
the show
behind it.
title for us today.
What?
It's going to be
Show
right
title.
off the bat. Everybody just start
right
all
off the
your
bat.
sentences with right off.
Wait, did I say right off the bat? Dang, I can't help it.
Yeah, I mean, you're first at bat. So
Hey, let's
go
go.
ahead.
But no, the production budget has clearly gone up. So just little things, the animation, the shading, the character models. It's for a show that doesn't really lean into having an over-the-top art style, it's still a very pretty show to watch. So that nice little touch. But yeah, out the grades, I'm enjoying it. We ended the season on a really wild note of just them busting out of Bane's prison, fighting, trying to save Gotham, getting married, all that. They kept the energy going. I'm enjoying it so far. The jokes are still super clever. The cast still bounces off each other, and the show just fires jokes at you. I'm enjoying it, but I think a big theme of our episode about this season is going to be, how is this show? What are they trying to do with the Harley-Ivy relationship dynamic? It's too early for me to say how, if it's bad or good, but that's going to be a big decider of how good this season is.
Brian?
But I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun.
It's been a while since we've been with Harley Quinn. Like, kind of like what you were saying. Was that 5 years ago or something? It feels like it.
I really forget what happened in season 2, and that's not surprising, but I don't remember what happened in season 2 other than Ivy and Kite Man broke up.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
It was 2019.
I barely remember it myself. I know big things happen, and I remember that both season 1 and 2, culminate really satisfyingly as a great show. But I just kind of forgot the vibe. So I basically binged 4 episodes yesterday, and I got to say, I don't think this show is made for binging. I mean, like maybe for some people, but it just moves at such a breakneck pace where the jokes are coming in rapid fire. It's just joke, moment, joke. And it's pretty exhausting. Trying to watch 4 episodes back to back. But I will agree that through and through, it is just a well-made show. I mean, the writing is very sharp, and all the characters. I forgot how much I love King Shark and Clayface.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Like Clayface has to be one of my favorite all-time cartoon characters for sure. But what I was really surprised by in this show this season was that it seems like Harley is taking kind of a backseat to Poison Ivy, and they're really exploring that relationship. They even allude to it at the beginning of the first episode, I believe. They changed the title to to Harley and Poison Ivy, right? They actually throw Poison Ivy's name up there. And so it's kind of interesting to see that this season, it seems like Poison Ivy is taking a much more prominent role and her character is really evolving. And as a result, their relationship is taking a hit. And so, it'll be fascinating to see where they take that dynamic and how much of a focal point that becomes the rest of the season. But aside from that, I'm also really digging all the side stories that seem to be running through each episode. Like they're not just one-off gags in individual scenes or whatever, that they're actually carrying across. So you got like Nightwing and the whole Bat family dynamic, and then you have the Thomas Wayne biopic that is being filmed throughout the season that Clayface is a part of. I mean, stuff like, and then you got Jim Gordon who's running for mayor. That's a whole subplot. So there's a lot of threads that are going on, and I'm excited that the writers of the show are really taking big swings with their bats to bring us someplace new and unexpected with season 3.
Well, I'd like to say, right off the bat that it was really good.
Take a shot every time, listeners. We say right off the bat, and you'll just be trashed by the end of this episode.
How many boos have we gotten already?
I'm enjoying the season quite a bit. I do think, though, that I built the series up in my head a little bit too much. And maybe I'm expecting too much from the show, because there's portions of the show where I'm just like, I've seen this before. Like, this is old hat now. And, the king shark eating an entire body, or, whatever. Like, oh yeah, we're used to that. That's not surprising anymore. Some of the punchlines are just a little bit like stale to me. But I do think that's really just a me problem. I think I just went in expecting something way higher. Like, I had built this thing up in my head, like, oh, this is an Emmy-winning show. It's the top notch. It's something that Brian Redondo would make. That's kind of how I thought about it.
You don't know me. Did this show actually win an Emmy?
I don't know, but it should be. You're award-winning, so I would think it would be of the upper echelon of shows. And
I haven't checked the accolades.
and to me, it is fun. It's good. I don't think it's necessarily like the best thing I've been watching this summer or anything like that. So we'll see where it goes. I think part of the issue, and this is going to bring in what you guys were tying to, is Harley and Ivy's relationship is taking center stage here, and it's in a very different place than we've seen it in the past season. So I think that was a bit of a whiplash thing of, we didn't really get to see them really have their honeymoon period, right? They did a honeymoon montage, but it was literally over in maybe a minute and a half. And then all of a sudden now they're sort of not on the same wavelength. They're not on the same page. How's the show going to bring this together? Where do you see it going? Are you excited for that? Or are you kind of over this particular thread? Brian, where are you at on this what did they call him? Harlivy, I believe. They're
also, shout out to their Pornhub doppelgangers that appear in the show itself. Like, if anything,
were those real adult performers?
No way.
Oh, I'm about to say, I was like, dude, I don't know. I made it. You
they
made
might
it seem
go
like
to those lengths. They might. I don't know. They might go to those lengths.
HBO would totally do something like that.
But this show is very self-aware. So props to them for that. By the way, was the Billy Bob Thornton cameo, was that actually him? I couldn't tell, and I didn't.
Look it up.
I didn't check the cast list, but anyway, it's an interesting dynamic that they're introducing this season, because in previous seasons the focus was very much about Harley on a rampage, right? She's brokenhearted in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think that carries over in season 2, right? She's still just barreling through the world. And that is very much the vibe of the entire seasons for those two. But in this one, now she's in what seems to be a healthy, loving relationship for the most part. Definitely relative to her relationship with Joker, it is. And so now it's less about Harley swinging her bat through things and kind of just navigating this positive relationship with Poison Ivy, but really more about Poison Ivy and how her as an introvert, how she going to navigate things with her spouse, who is, you know, the exact opposite, you know, who does want to rage and, you know, be mercurial and bounce around off the walls and stuff. Whereas Poison Ivy, you know, is kind of the Daria character in the Harley Quinn show. So yeah, you know, it gives the show a very different vibe. And obviously, because their personalities clash, they have a lot of growing pains to go through, which is very true for all relationships, right? Like they're definitely butting heads throughout. But what's interesting is that every time the show is showing that they're going to go one direction with those conflicts, they swerve the other way and course correct. You know, like they manage to, you know, be open and honest about their true feelings and emotions, and you know, relate to each other with empathy and honesty. And so that's kind of interesting development throughout their show. A show that is you know, really violent and crass and caustic, but you know, they're kind of doing very emotionally mature things.
Mm-hmm. Did you see episode 4 yet?
Yes.
So yeah, I think we're both thinking of the same thing, right? So Wes, this is what I'll say, and I think this leans into Brian's point
you
about
could spoil
this not
it.
being.
I mean, I'll watch it soon. But
I mean, it's not like a big
even in season 3, even in episode 3, they do that, right? Like,
yeah, it
Harley
happens multiple
or
times.
Ivy has to get around her like own insecurities and ideas, and how her support for Harley needs to look for Harley to receive that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what I'm actually enjoying, and I think it leans into Brian's point about this not being a show you should binge, which you would get the impression that a show about Harley Quinn on HBO that's animated, you would think this leans into binge territory. One thing this show has been good about since the beginning is they are invested in character development, and their character development sticking, right? We've seen angry Harley. We've gotten to unpack why she's like that with her family life, with her insane dad and enabling mom, right? We get to see why she fell in love with Joker, understand her validation issues. Like, it's easy to forget because the show's been running for years and there's been a 2-year gap between seasons, but Harley Quinn gets a lot of character development, and we really get to understand why she ticks. It's not until season 2 that we really get more of that with Ivy. And now, to your point, Brian, now that we're in season 3, I think it's not good. It's natural that Ivy starts to get that center stage because she is a main character who hasn't really gotten explored like other people have. We got to understand King Shark's family background a little bit. Even Dr. Psycho, we got to kind of see. Often Ivy was just there, and not in a passive way, but she wasn't the center stage of like, hey, what do you care about, right? And Harley even says herself, no, it's your time to shine. You're the main character, basically. So I think it's a good thing in that it shows that they're committed to like developing their characters and making their development stick. It's easy to feel like things are one-off gags on this show, but they're still sticking with Joker being a jerk, but also an involved dad. Like they're still, you know, they didn't
raging
undermine
against
Joker,
the common core.
Exactly. Like he's still Joker in terms of he's a jerk and all that, but he's pretty on decent terms with his ex Harley despite all this stuff. And, you know, like it's hard to be able to keep characters true to who they are and still develop them and have it stick in a meaningful way. Because if you undo that development, it feels like all those years of episodes don't really mean anything. So to the point of
which
it not
wouldn't
being
be shocking for an animated half-hour show.
You don't
right?
expect this from a show like this. You know,
Yeah.
there's plenty. This show could easily undo the character development in a heartbeat, and it wouldn't seem like it's a bit. It wouldn't feel jarring.
Right.
But they're committed to it, and so it leans into a not bingeable show. Like they're planting I hate that I'm saying this, but they're planting a lot of seeds with, I think, Ivy, you know, potentially being the big bad of the season. Like every season, they make you think the show's going in a direction, and then towards the back half, something off the wall happens. No one expected Gotham to get suddenly sequestered off from the world, and then it turned into this World War conflict with the Justice League trapped in a fairy book. You know, the beginning of season 2, you wouldn't have got that impression. I think we're setting up for some big stuff with Ivy's terraforming plan, and that maybe being a big season conflict. But this show plays the long game, and you have to appreciate that. You know, even with the video taken at that Court of Owls event, Brian. That's gonna like, oh, this is gonna be this is gonna be huge.
They planted the seed.
They plant a lot of little seeds, and it's something that they really go above and beyond for, and they don't have to do considering what the overall tone and nature of this show is. So is it always easy to binge? No, but I think this is a show that's going to look really good once you get to the finale and you see they were actually trying to build this up since episode 1, episode 2.
Yeah, I trust this show. Like, the payoff is always there. And I totally agree with you. I love that they are breaking from form. They are breaking from classic comic book trope by never resetting their characters, which is what would happen in the comics, right? Joker would just go back to doing Joker things. Or the boys, yeah, looking at you. These two shows are very much alike, and yet I care way more about the characters of Harley Quinn. To your point, Savon, because they have invested so much in them and doing their characters right? Like, their characters are making character-based choices, not plot.
Wes?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's maybe a little bit of a pitch outside the zone here, a strikeout, is that Harley Quinn made huge strides in the last season in terms of her willingness to be in a relationship, to be committed, to believe in herself. And she's doing that here too, but her lack of stability is also what's sort of messing up the vibe here between the two of them, the chemistry, so to speak.
Well, would you say it's just that? I mean, I think the show's shown that it's both, right? Like, Harley is clearly trying to overcorrect from her past relationships and is maybe a little overly clingy and overly supportive because her previous relationships, well, one, that's kind of how she is, but she has to still reconcile with that. But also, you can't remember, a big theme in these last 4 episodes is Ivy not knowing how to just be straight up about what she has to say. It's very much like, this is very much, yeah, it's easy to seem like, oh, the extrovert's the cause of this conflict, but a bunch of this is as much Ivy just not being upfront about how she's feeling or what she wants. The fact, you have to watch episode 4, but they very much do a whole sequence where both of them were in the wrong, and then they both respectively burn each other because of their behavior. Harley's impulsiveness and Ivy's unwillingness to speak up, like, that burns both of them at the same time. And they're like, oh crap, we have to be better. But it leads to what I thought, Brian, was a very, very beautiful piece of character development for Ivy in particular, because I was like, oh, this made so many other previous interactions in other seasons feel different, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Like to me, that retroactively made so many scenes like, oh crap, this is way better than it. It made me have a lot of respect for the writers and trust their process. Like, yo, if you're doing this for stuff seasons ago, we're gonna be fine season 3.
And as Frank says to Ivy, that's some weak ass shit.
It was so weak. I was in my crib like, yo, that is so weak. Why are you doing that? Oh, you blowing it, bro. You gonna get burned.
But anybody that's been in a serious relationship, especially in their youth, right? Like in their first relationship, you're gonna make those kind of mistakes. Like those are some very real things. Actually, there are a lot of adults that are making those mistakes who have never course corrected.
Right.
And so I'm not entirely sure it's the instability of Harley, really. I think it's just kind of the core natures of their personalities are naturally going to conflict, just like anybody's, right?
Sure.
Married man over here talking to you, Wes, who's also a married man. Like, there are just things that you're going to have to contend with. And it's not necessarily about who you are as a person, but who you are as a conflict negotiator, as somebody that can kind of rise above the fracas and have an honest conversation with somebody about what they're feeling.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think I maybe misframed it. I was thinking about Harley as not stable, as like she's chaotic and she's impulsive, and so she needs that outlet of, I want to go bash somebody's face in, and then I'll come back to center. But she has to go do all these things to get her sort of energy out, and that's not necessarily.
Is that a bad thing? I mean, I know it's a bad thing. Like,
well, here's the thing.
But
it's
for
not
her
really
as a supervillain, is that a bad
really
thing?
conducive to like being together with somebody.
So
if you always need to get like violence out of your system.
But
right?
Ivy also always needs to be alone and to do her own thing. That's not very conducive either, surface level. But I just think they're different
Which is
people,
why
and they're going to have a variety of needs.
I think it's a little bit jarring for me coming into the season because I feel like in the last season they were both sort of finding their way together and ameliorating some of those needs, and now they sort of like push them back out to the extremes again of, whoa, I'm going to be such a shut in. I'm going to be super work focused. And then, Harley's like, let's go do this. Let's go do that. Let's go do this. And it's like, whoa, like what happened to the like happy, not medium, but like the kind of nice synergy they had built in the last season? It sort of just like vanished. And maybe just, I'm not a writer, so maybe it's just because like, hey, that it wouldn't be as interesting to like have them spend 3/4 of a season or 2/3 of a season in more a harmonious situation. But that I'm a little bit annoyed because I'm a romantic at heart. I'm a little bit annoyed that we didn't actually get to savor their
Wes is definitely a romantic. I got stories for you, Savon.
Okay.
Their togetherness more.
So,
right? We didn't even last a season before we're already like, dude, Ivy's not enjoying this and Harley's not enjoying certain things, right? Like, man, we didn't even get one episode.
I think it's the ups and downs, the natural ups and downs of a relationship. If anything, you might want to give the show props for.
They just got married.
Okay, but marriage doesn't magically. Don't people say marriage? It's not like marriage magically fixes all your problems. It's really just like a status, right? Like, it doesn't change. Like, them getting married was never going to change Ivy's natural introvert behavior and Harley's natural extroverted behavior. I think what the show is trying to emphasize maybe is that it doesn't mean that they're incompatible, but in most relationships in any context, you just have to figure out, okay, how do y'all coexist but still give each other space? Ivy even makes a specific point of, hey, if you want to stay with the crew here in Gotham and do your wild Harley stuff, please do it, and I'll do my research stuff. Now Harley's working on figuring out, I can still have my outlet with the team and do the wild stuff and do it in a space in a way that's not disruptive to my partner. So yeah, from a real world perspective, the chaotic stuff doesn't work. But I think in the context of their relationship, that's not the problem. It's just communicating what your wants and needs are, and then going from there. We didn't get the time where like they are on the same wavelength for very long. We got like the last episode of season 2. I mean, you get a mix.
Well, but here's the thing, though. At the end of season 2 or throughout season 2, their relationship is one of very supportive friends that suddenly transforms into kind of forbidden desire and then illicit sexual hookups. Like that was the nature of their relationship before, and now they're suddenly being thrown into more of a real relationship post honeymoon phase, and I think that is a very legit thing, right? They had what was essentially a drive-through wedding, right? Like they did the Las Vegas wedding. Their relationship never gestated to that point. They rather like ran through that peak moment and just tumbled down into the next, which is the day-to-day living with somebody. And I also want to point out, it's kind
just feels like we
amazing.
Got there so fast.
It's amazing that this show is making us into like couples therapists right now.
Yeah, but I mean, it's because it's a fun dynamic to watch. It's dope. It's like,
the show, yeah,
because you like things they do, and then you get frustrated about things they both do, and that's it doesn't feel one sided. I don't feel like it's one person who's just ruining or blowing things. And Wes, even if you look at these last couple episodes, the things that made their relationship originally work hasn't been undermined, despite the tensions they have. Harley has still been ridiculously supportive of Ivy's plan to terraform Gotham. Keep in mind, she's the one who encouraged her to try and reenact and bring that back. Ivy had given up on it. So the entire, one of the driving points of Ivy's arc this season, her terraforming plan, which again, I think is going to be the culminating conflict of the season, was through Harley's encouragement, off of a fight that they had because of something that Ivy had low self-esteem about, So yeah, they're having their rocky moments, but you can't sleep on multiple moments, including the end of episode 4, Brian, where they very much are a supportive couple. And, even at that award show, right, where you meet Kite Man again, and there's a lot of really warm emotional moments between them that shows, are they in the middle of some tensions that are working out? Yes, but when it's all said and done, they love each other and they support each other and they're good for each other. So, and I think, if we're only seeing that in these next couple episodes, I think it's only going to go up from there, because it'll make the pain that much worse, which again, me theory crafting when I think Harley has to maybe make a really tough call about Ivy and her plans.
So did you like it's not really a twist, but the mature handling of Ivy and Kite Man, being respectful of professional respecting, there wasn't, any kind of like passive aggressiveness there. And when Ivy talks to the current girlfriend, she does speak highly of Kite Man, right? She knows that he's a good guy. She recognizes he had a lot of great strengths. She recognizes maybe they weren't, compatible at the end of the day, but it was flattering, right? She spoke highly, respectfully.
Nobody's beefing.
Of Kite Man. Yeah,
nobody's beefing. Like,
whereas like that could very easily be a conflict, right?
Yeah,
used for comedic relief or something else, but they sort of flip that on its head a little bit.
Yeah, but they're consistent with the character
sequence.
Yeah, but they're consistent with the characters. Kite Man is a joke. He might be a little annoying, but he was never ever shown to be malicious. In fact, his sweetness and stable nature was why Ivy wanted him in that, in that context. So there was, even in their relationship, even at its lowest point, it was never like some type of abusive or toxic relationship. It was just one that probably just wasn't meant to be. Even when they got, Kite Man kind of got the short end of the stick of getting dumped in his wedding and cheated on, but he was never shown to be a malicious character. So it is in line with him that he wouldn't just, I'm going to dwell and be salty about it. Ivy's never been shown to be a really angry, vindictive person unless it has to do with nature stuff. And even at the low of her relationship with Kite Man, she never hated him. It was just they weren't for each other. That's two very different things. So when you think about the characters and how we've shown
Although
them
now that I'm thinking about it, though, that you're saying she cheated on him, I'm like, she was definitely in the wrong there.
She was.
Everybody should kind of send her some shade for that.
Yeah,
well, what
absolutely.
she realizes, go ahead, Savon.
Yeah, but also, it's a two. Like, Ivy was absolutely in the wrong. Kite Man was a victim, but also Kite Man absolutely, like, he knew there was a lot of hollow elements in their relationship too that he was in denial about. And again, it doesn't mean that there's bad blood, because Ivy also defended him from his
deserved it a little bit,
No. But,
well, it was bound to happen.
Yeah,
he was
but
a reacher in that relationship.
But you could see the writing on the wall of like, hey, dude, you can very much tell that she's not into you the way you're into her. And, they both were in denial about their relationship not being sustainable, but she still defended him from his awful parents. So when you think about how the characters interact, there isn't any reason for there to be any beef. And it's a good way to, again, show like, people can mature and be reasonable adults. Like, if Joker can move past Harley and be like, man, I'm with my kids right now. Like, that was really his vibe. He was like, I'm with my kids. What do y'all want from me? The show does a good job of showing like, hey, these might be ridiculous characters, but even they can be emotionally mature adults and say, like, I got more important things in my life to worry about.
Yeah,
and, you don't get that in a lot of relationships in media in general, because you think conflict means quality entertainment, and it doesn't have to be. Watching them have that little sweet little talk outside of like, Kite Man makes the chili without the onions for me and without the meat for you. It's like, that was wholesome and sweet, and I like that.
Yeah. She walked away from that moment suddenly realizing that Kite Man was doing all these things for her benefit. And has that eureka moment, like, yes, that is actually a necessary part of being in a healthy relationship, is that sometimes you got to sacrifice for the greater good because you want to make somebody else happy.
Brian hasn't eaten meat in like 10 years.
Absolutely.
Wait,
it's
what?
Just Anna is a pescatarian, but leaning more towards vegetarian. So I adjust my diet on her behalf. I'm not going to cook 2 meals. You know what I mean? So
when we go to San Francisco,
that's love.
That's part of it.
Brian
love,
chows
baby.
down on all the meats.
To my own detriment. And but I think it's great to see a show highlight these more mature moments, and the realizations is actually where the drama is at, not the conflict. right?
Mm-hmm.
And it actually reminds me of the best quote from the kind of poorly aged show Entourage, that you never appreciate your girlfriend until the next one gives you herpes. So
What?
this is kind of where we're at here.
Yeah, that's what we have.
I'm not sure that that's where we're at.
No,
All right, let's switch gears a little bit. So, like you said, there's kind of a few different threads being thrown in here, and the show is in some ways expanding. We're getting a little bit more, maybe a lot more. We'll see of Batman, the Bat Family. They call it the Bat Family.
Yeah,
Commissioner Gordon's involved. We're getting Batgirl here in the picture. Nightwing. Let me tell you, the Nightwing scenes crack me up so much, and it's just like so dumb. Him like narrating to himself what he's doing as if he's a noir film detective, but doing his own like hype man stuff is just top tier. I hope he doesn't do it the whole season, but the one episode where he's doing it, I'm just like laughing my ass off every time he does it, and it's really funny and totally unself-aware. So good job. This detective film noir whatever tone
he got that Bat Daddy. He got that Bat Daddy complex.
It tickles my Dick Grayson, guys. Let me tell you.
I saw that in the notes and I was like, "Oh, if you say this is gonna be the funniest." That's fun.
Yuck.
Brian, how you liking the expansion beyond Harley's crew?
I love that. I love that Nightwing also has this rivalry with current Robin. Who's that? Drake? What's his name?
Care.
So Robin's like throwing him the bird and stuff,
and playing his video games, his little PSP or whatever.
Yeah, this Robin is the Damian Wayne one, so it's the one that's actually
Damian
his
Wayne.
biological son.
Yeah.
And then, Nightwing is Dick, and then I guess they hinted at your boy Jason, but we'll see if he pops up.
And remind me who the macaroni guy is when Nightwing doesn't have a ride to the mission.
Alfred.
Is that Alfred? So
it's
Alfred.
Alfred has like a little
macaroni guy.
So Alfred has he's like an old British boxer dude. That's like the whole bit. But if you recall, in season 2, when Batman was injured because he had gotten his back destroyed by Bane and Gotham was just sequestered off, he was the one running around still fighting crime. It was Alfred in that outfit. That. It's a little callback.
His like 18th century.
Yep. That was in season 2.
Really?
That was in season 2.
I totally forgot.
Mm-hmm. I had no idea what was going on there.
Yeah, no, that was Alfred.
There's some crazy, silly things going on. But I think my favorite part of the Bat Family, not only that they are doing an escape room to promote team building, but Batman massaging Catwoman's feet. Oh my god! Like, while she doesn't even care, she doesn't give an F. She's like, this dude, whatever. While Batman's like, would you like some more? like that is exactly the dynamic that I wanted to see, and I hope that appears in the Batman franchise with what's her name?
Robert
Zoe
Pattinson.
Kravitz. Yeah, Robert Pattinson doing the same for her.
0% chance. Sav, you liking this exploration of the Bat Family in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think my favorite thing about the show is that clearly the creators were able to get rights to so many different, pretty much the whole DC character list. Like normally DC and Marvel would be picky about what characters they have access to, especially for a character like Harley Quinn, who's kind of, I mean, she's gotten bigger over the years, but she started off as she was an animated character in the 90s and then she just popped off, right?
Not even an original comic.
Yeah, it wasn't even an original comic character. So the fact that this show has rights to pretty much the whole Justice League, obscure villains you've never heard of, all the mainstream ones, and you're actively killing characters off. It's easy to remember. Penguin's dead, Scarecrow's dead. Like, people are dying and popping up. So the degree to which they use it, I'm just a huge fan of, because there's just so many little jokes that they use characters for. Like, like when Catwoman gave her whole Academy Award speech and called them out for only nominating her because she was black. And then she's just like, Black Manta. And then he's just clapping furiously. And Joker's just like, I didn't even know Black Manta was black. All of that is just a great summary of, that's just them taking full advantage of the cast of characters they have access to just do hilarious, I think, original jokes. So I don't know. They take full like Two-Face. His entire thing is just being this corrupt campaign manager who's just so slimy, and he's not even doing like in the streets villain stuff, but he's on the screen and like, dude, this is hysterical.
He's like, you forgot what my name is.
Yeah.
You forget. Yeah. So they shout out to Harley Quinn for really taking advantage of the full DC universe, even if it's just for quick one-off bits. And man, I love it. I think the only thing I'm iffy about is I think I'm a little soured, or I've grown a little stale of the Commissioner Gordon being a bumbling idiot bit, only because I thought that was tied to his alcoholism. So once they kind of moved past him getting over his drunkenness issues, I thought his character would be a little bit more competent. But I think they're just leaning into like he's just like the bumbling cop. You know what? I think this interpretation of Gordon is a little bit sillier than every other version, so it's a little harder for me to kind of connect to. But I can fully admit that's just a me thing. Otherwise, I'm loving how they're using characters. I'm excited for what they do down the line with using other characters.
I think we would also be remiss to not mention Bane's ongoing storyline.
Oh my God, come on, man.
And I think he makes up for Jim Gordon. Oh, man. And when he said, like, how could you not give back the pasta maker? That's gauche.
You're like, coming to ask for it back is even more gauche. I'm like, y'all married. If y'all was getting married, maybe that's something we need to ask the viewers of married people. If you was getting married and then something happened, do you give back wedding gifts? If something go like,
that's a tough call.
Ass up with the wedding? Like if they give you a George Foreman grill and things don't work out, but you use the grill to make a sandwich, do you just like who gets it? I have questions.
What I
just went to a destination wedding. Like how much do you spend on the gift? How much money do you give to the couple? Even though you spent a lot, $500 to fly yourself there. Like these are questions. Bane needs to know.
A present.
I don't think you can give wedding presents back if you've already used them.
Oh, but
then you can't.
They didn't even make it to the altar.
Okay, yeah, those should go back.
Bane bought it thinking, "Yo, Kite Man gonna get some use out of this too," and it's like, "Yo, I didn't buy this in consideration at all." Now, Bane's still great. Like
he's gonna be low key X Factor late in the season when he does something out of revenge to mess up Ivy's plans.
I just want him to join their crew. I thought when he popped up at first he was going to join their crew because they don't want to get rid of his character. But I guess maybe he just works better as just a freelancing joke who they can just plug into random situations. Oh man, I love Bane.
All right, well let's start wrapping up. Do you know how many episodes are supposed to come out of this? Is it going to be 10?
I don't.
8? 10?
8? How many did they list?
No, there's no way we're halfway through the season already then, huh?
No, I think the previous seasons were long, right?
10 episodes, and they all have names already, actually.
What, all the episodes for season 3?
Yeah.
Well, they better be done. Shit's coming out.
Well, no, but
now.
Usually they don't get names until they're released.
Where are you seeing the names? I don't see the names. I'm on the internet.
Oh, you want me to link it? I'll send the link, bro.
I see the first 5 episode names. I see the episode for, to see season 3, episode 5 next week, but nothing about the name of it.
It's in there. Okay. Oh, and BT Dubs, Billy Bob Thornton, and James Gunn were both credited as voice actors here. So they got the real guys to play themselves.
Wild.
That's
and Billy Bob gets eaten. Spoiler.
Right. Wait, did y'all catch that Kissinger joke they threw in at one point?
Yes.
Did you catch that? It was a joke about Kissinger still being alive, or Kissinger and Gordon's like, oh, that old fart's still alive. God, there must be no God. There really is no God. And then I ended up spending like an hour later just looking up the career of Henry Kissinger and being like, yo, why is this man still alive? Great stuff.
All right. Well, what are you guys hoping for in the remaining 6 episodes? We're going to get 10 full episodes here in season 3. What are you guys hoping for? What are you excited about? Let me tell you this. I think King Shark needs a love interest that he doesn't eat. Needs to happen. That's what I'm hoping for.
He also just needs more screen time.
I mean, he's married though.
He's married?
Remember, he got married to that Sea Queen lady because his parents was making him do it. But then
obviously, I don't remember.
But
so where is she?
He had a deal with some other dude in the Sea Kingdom who's actually in love with the Sea Queen, right?
Yeah, it's like they're married basically on paper, and then it's like, all right, we're married, and it's like, yo, you just do your thing, I'm just gonna do my thing. All right, cool.
Weird.
Cool.
I need to. Well, so he needs an actual love interest, but also I need to go watch season 2 apparently because I don't remember anything that happened or
Yeah,
like
Wes,
a recap.
I don't know,
of some
bro.
sort.
I don't know. You need an external hard drive or something, because
Plug it in. All right, well, Brian, where are you hoping it goes?
So, as much as I enjoy all of the post-honeymoon conflict between Harley and Ivy, I still feel like the show needs the superhero element of a big bad. Like I know the importance of the relationship, but I don't want that to be everything. And right now it feels like it's too much. It's everything at the moment. So we need something to take off and erupt and really help things get wild and bonkers is basically where this show shines, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's Ivy. Savon talked about that earlier. Or, maybe it's Amanda Waller, right? And Suicide Squad has
great.
to come in. They introduced her in the first episode, which I was also surprised to see her make an appearance. I wonder if it's who's the actress that plays Amanda Waller? Was that her actual voice? And then I mean they also have James Gunn in this season as well. So it kind of seems like they're sort of like laying the foundation for Suicide Squad to Viola Davis, exactly. Right? Like is Idris Elba gonna be another guest cameo? Is he coming through? Are they going to try to tie the world of the animated series with the greater DCEU? I think that would be really fun. So yeah, maybe we'll see that happen.
I agree, Brian, about the Wes, you said it about the season. Which one else said the season needs a big bad? No, you did say that, Brian.
That was Brian.
The season needs a big bad. I'm very firmly in the camp that this terraforming plan is too, like, did y'all not catch that conversation in the beginning when she talks about what the plan actually means?
It's bad for everybody else.
It absolutely screws over everybody else, Harley included. And so this is really one of those, I know this is cool on paper before it felt like a reality and there's all these little setbacks and all that. But if this plan actually works out the way it does, everybody who's not Ivy's going to take a L. And an underlying theme in this show, even from the earlier seasons, that Ivy doesn't consider herself really a super villain. She considers herself like a protector of nature, eco-terrorist at worst, right? Like I do think
she's a crusader.
Yeah, so and I mean it makes sense. It's kind of consistent with her character. She's not just trying to do stuff just for her. So I really do think that they're developing this relationship to make it really sting that much more when you get to a point of the person you love, in this case for Harley, Ivy, is doing something that absolutely F's over everybody else. How are you going to reconcile that? So I think we might get Suicide Squad. We might get all that stuff, but I think it might end up being with Ivy being the big threat. Granted, that's less original because she was the big threat last season too, but when she got mind control.
Nobody in Harley's crew is like, guys, if she terraforms the whole thing, everything disappears.
I mean, it's one of those kind of like, suspend your disbelief a little bit. Like they do all kinds of ridiculous stuff and no one's really thinking about the big term picture. And they haven't really seen the plan work. And they haven't really seen the plan work. So, terraform on paper sounds like, oh yeah, we have lots of grass and stuff, but they might not realize, the plants are eating people, or infrastructure is so destabilized that nothing works. Like I do think there's a sliding scale of what they would imagine the terraforming plan looks like in reality.
Yeah,
they might just think it's some extra trees.
Ivy even kind of alludes to it, right? She's like, everything goes except for Macaroni Grill or whatever.
Yeah, Mama Macaroni's.
yeah, which should be a signal to everybody else that it's going to be bad.
Yeah, like they're planting.
Life as you know it is gone.
I mean, she jokes about there won't be internet, all that, just nature, living off the land. Like they're planting little seeds throughout the. God dang it. they're dropping little nuggets throughout even early in the season of like, this terraforming plan, it's not going away. It's not a one-off gag. It's clearly something that's taking up a lot of Ivy's character time and bandwidth, and even Frank getting kidnapped. Like this is not some little thing. So it would be silly for it to not be like we said it right. They do all kinds of arcs that are building up. This is going to be a big one. So I just want some good payoff for that. But again, I trust the writers to. Like, because, the Jim Gordon running for mayor, the blackmail video, the terraforming stuff, like all that is gonna all come together and culminate
And
in a
Bat
dope way.
family.
Yeah, just the Bat family, whatever the hell is gonna
It's
be going
gonna
on
happen.
with them. Like there's too much happening. We're gonna get a good finale.
I think they're gonna need to team up with Harley
Oh, for sure.
again.
Oh, for sure. I'm telling you, man, it's gonna be everybody against Ivy because it's gonna be like, yo, I know we all got our differences, but we can't just let homie just turn this city into Jurassic Park. Like that's just not. That is an L for all parties involved.
All right, well, let's
So
wrap
we
up there. Hit us up on our socials. Instagram at confidently_pod. Savon's been putting some questions in the stories. Loving some of the answers that we're seeing. Savon's
Yep.
going to be posting a lot more memes, updates, announcements, all that kind of good stuff.
Shout outs.
Interact with us, and then make sure you tell your friends. We enjoy having the show. We hope other people will enjoy listening to the show. So make sure you tell your friends. Shout out to Brian's friend. What was his name? Your cousin? Friend?
Not my cousin, my homie, Dr. Tim Fung. Where you at?
Tim Fung.
Funky
super
Fungus.
super fan number 1. So shout out to him and all the new listeners that have been coming in. But yeah, publicize the show. Tell your friends. Share our stories. Share our posts. We're out of here. Bye.
We out.
Peace.